the first quarter, but your firm, unlike Binance and Coinbase, not under the regulatory spotlight. Can you comment at all on the predicament these firms are in? We know that Coinbase has said they'll use every penny they have to fight some of the crackdown that's coming their way.
Yeah, well, I think it's important to realize that the securities laws and the rules that have been established are not fit for purpose for the crypto industry, right? They don't work within blockchain. They don't work within crypto assets. So we need new rules and regulations. That's why Coinbase is going to go to the mat and fight in the courts to force the regulators to come up with rules that will help this industry thrive. And I think we should all be rooting for that. After all, this is the best performing asset class in the world over the last 3, 5, and 10 years. It's one of the fastest growing industries in the technology space. There's a huge amount of venture capital and a huge amount of intellectual capacity moving into crypto. We should want rules that support that, and we don't have those right now. So that's why Coinbase is going to push for it. I think ultimately they'll be successful. They're asking for reasonable accommodations that will allow this industry to thrive. The same thing that the internet asked for in the 1990s. And that's why we got the internet boom here in the US and not in Europe. We want the same thing for the crypto boom.
All right, Matt,
coming.
just wrapping up, I hear you on the good stuff. What's the wild card in 10 seconds? What's the wild card in your view for your industry right now?
Sure, the extreme risk, the left tail, would be a very harsh regulatory crackdown and no changes or adaptations to the rule. Every investment has risk and opportunity. They're both in crypto, and we'll see how it turns out.
Matt, great to have you with us. Matt Hogan, CIO at Bitwise, joining us. And be sure to tune into Bloomberg Radio too. You can hear more from the day's big newsmakers, get in-depth analysis from the Daybreak team. We're now broadcasting live from our studio in Hong Kong. You can listen in via the app. That's Radio Plus or BloombergRadio.com. Much more ahead. This is Bloomberg. Take a look at some data when it comes to food prices in New Zealand. Some supportive signs of cooling inflation when it comes to food prices. We're seeing gains of 0.5% month on month, pulling back from the 0.8% from the month earlier. And actually, if you break it down, we are seeing fresh fruit and vegetables seeing a decline of about 3%. Groceries still seeing a gain of about 1%. Still, across the board, we are still seeing some inflationary factors, including the acceleration of wage inflation. Pockets of the market do expect the RBNZ to press ahead with another hike this month.
Daybreak Asia, coming to you live from New York, Sydney, and Hong Kong.
We're counting down to Asia's major market opens. The top stories this hour. US inflation shows signs of cooling, perhaps giving the Fed room to pause. But Washington's debt ceiling impasse remaining a major concern for traders. Asian stocks are set to open low with the dollar holding losses. Treasury yields also slipping on those signs of easing US price pressure. Plus, G7 finance chiefs gather in Japan to discuss a daunting mix of risks, including emerging market debt and financial stability.
Well, Heidi, we are counting down to the opens in Sydney, Seoul and Tokyo, and there is a lot for investors to consider, but front and centre is that US inflation report, and the main takeaway from this is that we're below that 5% level. Just the core inflation reading, though, still sitting at 5.5%. In terms of what investors are saying, well, lots of reaction coming through, but one of the key takeaways is that it's just really too soon to say that we're out of the woods at this point in time. So some, including TD Securities, saying we need further reports out to say that inflation is truly decelerating, but still, traders are betting that the Fed is going to be going on pause as soon as next month, and we are seeing bond yields retreating. In terms of what else we're watching, it is those more regional factors at play.